This is the Marketing Intern Spotlight, where we are committed to unlock how every marketing intern has an innate ability to be an entrepreneur, motivator, and influencer.
So welcome. Great to have you, PI. Pie Guy 2, as most people call you in the streets. I'm excited to have you on. I mean, we had touched on Sober October previously on our last episode on Monday, and it's a really weird. To me, it's foreign. I would say it's foreign, but in your perspective, it's not. And what's really cool is like what is it? 2 years sober? Is that correct?
Yeah, coming up actually this month, October 14th. It'll be 2 years.
Right on.
Yeah, man. Worked out great.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. So
to give our marketing interns a little background,
yeah.
How about you detail? You're my older brother. You're 3 years older than me, but maybe some other details about what you're currently up to and what led you to the Twin Cities.
Yeah, so I've been in Minnesota now for about 2 years. I'm a student at Augsburg University, not too far away from here. What else? I play a ton of softball, which is great.
Avid softball player.
Okay, player.
Let's touch on that real quick. So you've probably played, is it near 100 games this summer?
It's got to be close.
Because you just entered a third team. You were on two teams all summer long for 90-ish days, and then you just joined a fall ball team that is traveling, and someone recruited you to be on it.
Yeah. So I play on Wednesday nights. I play on Friday nights, and two different teams, and you play 2 games each night. So it was 4 games a week for a long time, but while you're playing on these 2 teams, there's tons of other teams obviously in the league, and at one point, somebody came up to me. It's actually the commissioner, the guy that runs the Friday Night League. He came up to me and he was like, "Hey, we're looking for an extra guy. We play tournament ball." And I was like, "Let's do it. I mean, why not, man?" It was great. So I've been playing in a few tournaments too as well, but for consistency, it's been the 2.
Play shortstop, bat, 5th in the lineup?
Yeah, so Wednesday nights I've been batting 4th, and then actually Friday nights I've been batting 6th, because the way it works when you play adult softball, it's lob pitch, and the fences aren't crazy long, so guys that can really lay into it, you can hit them out, and they limit the number of home runs you can hit.
Yeah,
so what we like to do in our lineup is kind of spread out the power, so you're utilizing your home runs at an appropriate time. Like if I'm batting 4th, and the guy that bats 3rd can hit homers too, and he hits one. Let's say he hits a 3-run shot, and I'm up. Now it's just me. There's nobody on base. If I hit a solo shot, I mean it's pretty selfish. You can't be doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm understanding. So that's phenomenal. I love that you're playing softball. That's just a blast.
Declan, what did you learn from when we had my parents on that about Patrick, Matthew, and myself in terms of playing softball, playing sports in general?
So PI, oldest in the family, but easily the most athletic in the family. And I'm not looking for you to unpack that, because it's just obvious. I've seen you move. I've seen you. You just got a lot of explosive to you. It's fun playing catch with you, more so than Andrew, to be honest.
Can't really throw a spiral over there.
Yeah, no,
that's all right.
We're working on him. We got you figured out, so we're good to go. But anyways, so you're 3 years older than Andrew, is that what you said?
I am, yeah. Born in 93.
Love it, dude. Love it. So where did you end up going to college right out of high school? Like you're 18.
So graduated high school, and I actually only applied to about 3 schools. I applied to Dayton University, Iowa, and Indiana. And there's a little bit of family connection with the University of Indiana down in Bloomington. Our grandfather, our late Nunu, went there. Had an uncle that went there. Had two cousins. One cousin.
Yeah.
That went to Indiana. So definitely some connection there. And I kind of had my mind set when I was applying for college that I was going to go to Indiana University down in Bloomington.
Right on. And then how long were you there for?
It lasted about a year, boys.
A year.
Lasted 1 year, 2 semesters.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And obviously there was some external activity going on, but did you feel after those 2 years like you were like, dude, I effed up, now it's time to restart? Or was it like, man, I wish I could keep going there? Like what was your mindset, I guess, back then?
Yeah, I think when I look back on it, I don't think I was ready for school.
Okay.
I think that I wish that I maybe took a little bit of time off after high school, but these days it's just what you do.
It's the norm.
It's the norm, especially where Andrew and I grew up. You graduate high school and you go to college, and
You
if
go
you're
somewhere in the Big Ten.
exactly, and if you're not doing that, it's weird and kind of a little awkward when you're at some type of family event or you're in the neighborhood and talking to parents, and if you're not going to college, then what are you doing? So I decided to go, and I think I just got lost in the crowd.
Okay.
I got down there and I joined a fraternity. So I did pledgeship for my entire first semester, and my pledgeship down there with Sigma Pi University was it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of immersed myself into that. Not only the day-to-day of being a pledge, but also the lifestyle of being in a fraternity, the partying that comes along with that. I think almost from day one, that's where my mind was at, and I was there to do that instead of go to class, which sounds pretty effed in the head, but it's what it was. And my first semester was a disaster, and I came home and had a conversation with my mom and dad, and we kind of laid down some ground rules and expectations if I was going to go back, and my parents were willing to give me another shot. And I didn't take it seriously enough, and I got back down there, and back then I was notorious for kind of stringing together some positives, like maybe a month of being solid, sitting up in class, like front row, had all my books ready, like kind of the surface of I'm a good college student, but underneath that surface wasn't really ready to go to class and to get ready for that, to embark on that grind of being a college student. So 2 semesters. After that spring semester, old man, Big John said, no way.
No way.
You're done.
Yeah.
So
not worth it.
Nice.
You're coming home. It's time to regroup and figure out the next step. And this is something I really do think our marketing interns would appreciate. You ended up, now correct me if I'm wrong, the timeline, but was it the next semester that you went to Carpe Diem and then Outward Bound, or was that the following year?
So there was 1 semester in there. So I got home that summer. I worked at the track.
Yep.
Which kind of a knucklehead job, but made a little bit of money.
Hey, we both did that.
I know. It was cool, man. It was great. It was what it was.
Yeah.
You say
But
knucklehead job, like everyone's like, dude, we've all been there. We've all worked
Right.
a knucklehead job before.
I'm still working knucklehead jobs today, so it's like
Me as well.
exactly. So but yeah, so there was that summer, and then I actually that fall I decided to go to community college, Harper Community College in Palatine, Illinois.
Yep.
Not too far from mom and dad's house. So I went there, and then it didn't go great. Definitely passed classes, but really
Heart wasn't in it.
It wasn't in it. And from the very beginning, when I got home after that year at Indiana, I think mom had the idea that maybe it would be cool for me to do something different than go to school. Maybe school wasn't for me at that point, which it wasn't, but in my head, I'm like, well, I got to go back to school. If it's community college, then it's going to be community college. But after that semester, mom she'd done some research, and she came across this program called Carpe Diem Education, and that's kind of the timeline of when that January.
No, I think it was fall. You worked with Uncle Kent, correct?
Oh yeah, you're right. I think you are right.
It was a fall semester when
maybe
you
there
started.
maybe there wasn't Harper in there.
No, it might have been. I just know you started a fall semester.
Okay.
And
So maybe it was a full year then,
okay.
right? So I mean,
And then just
it's a little wonky
yeah.
back then, but
I know. I was gonna say that's spotty because there was just a lot going on.
there was. I mean, I came
Um,
back. It was weird that I was back.
Yeah.
You were at home, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's taken on. I think it was like sophomore, junior year.
Yeah.
But take me to Carpe Diem. You're going to New Zealand, Fiji, and Australia, and
Correct.
then that was that one semester, and then the following one was Outward Bound, and then that was Argentina, the Andes Mountains, and then
Yep.
you went to the Everglades.
Correct. It finished up in North Carolina. So yeah, the Carpe Diem trip was in the fall.
Yep.
You're definitely correct on that. What year it was? I mean, it was
Irrelevant.
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 Exactly.
I love that. Yeah, no, this program was sweet. I mean, I look back and it could have gone better, but basically it was cultural immersion, student travel, a lot of volunteering, and it was myself and a group of, it was 12 of us total, so myself and 11 other participants on the trip, and we had 2 instructors. And we decided to do it, and I was like, let's do it. I applied and talked to some people on the phone and got accepted to the program. And the next thing I know, I'm on a flight from Los Angeles to Fiji. And it was the trip was split up into 3 stages, 3 phases of the trip. Fiji was the first part, New Zealand was the second part, and then Australia was the third part. And I think it's important to quickly unpack the kind of the guidelines or the policies of the trip.
Yeah.
It was a 0 tolerance trip, so you couldn't drink or do drugs on the trip. It was strictly you were there to experience different cultures and, help out people that are in need with different projects and really get to know the world from the perspective of just someone that's traveling around.
Absolutely. And Fiji is a great, like the one you told me about in Fiji, it was going to become the wet season, correct?
Correct.
And then you had to help them.
We built sidewalks.
Sidewalks. That's what it was. Yeah.
From scratch, which was crazy.
Damn.
So they had all the supplies ready, and we met a guy in the town before we moved and met our homestay family, the village that we were going to be living in. We were kind of in a more city environment in Fiji. Nadi is the capital, Nadi. Nadi, Fiji. And we met a guy that was kind of facilitating the whole project, and there was money kind of put together, and all the supplies were sent to the village. And by the time we got to the village, everything was there. I mean, we mixed concrete and
That's awesome.
poured concrete and set up the different molds with wood and stakes. And I mean, it was really cool. I mean, it was from scratch, and we built a sidewalk system basically.
Was it from the community to like irrigate to like their vegetation? Where was what was the sidewalk?
It was kind of throughout the village.
Okay.
To get from like church to the main drag, there was kind of a long road down the middle of the village. There was we did sidewalk from like the mess hall or the community, like the main building, the community to the main road.
Mm-hmm.
So what's it like when you're in that situation? I mean, you're basically doing volunteer work for that whole semester until Christmas, essentially, in these different exotic locations.
Yeah.
And the policies are you can't drink, you can't really do any drugs. I like saying that right now just makes those shouldn't be that hard of stipulations, but
I know.
I mean,
it really shouldn't. I mean, it's pretty darn easy to do that. I mean,
right.
Think about the opportunity that I was presented. I mean, the
right.
opportunity to be able to go on this trip was pretty special, and I'm
yeah,
very lucky that I got to do that. But
and it's not necessarily like pointing out that specifically, but it's not school anymore at that point, is what it really sounds like. I mean, you're doing manual labor in these exotic countries, so I mean, it's a vacation, but it's not. So what was your mindset at that point where it's like, man, I just went to school, I hated it, it failed at some point, but now I'm doing this. Like, how did it feel at that point?
felt great. I really enjoyed how different it was. Being able to travel, being able to meet different people that, I mean, I never dreamed that I would be able to do something like this. It was pretty special, and I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
For the time that I was there, it was awesome. I mean, totally different than the grind of, reading a book and sitting in a classroom and taking a test.
Right.
I mean, this is like real life experience.
And it was through a school, so you were getting school credit at Portland State.
I was, yeah. It was through, you could get college credit through Portland State University.
And that's really cool. Like, everyone can do that, and if they're not ready for school yet, and they can still get college credit ready if, like, a gap year. And we have plenty of those people in our marketing interns in that time frame, right? About to enter college, or maybe, like, in college and, like, this isn't fit. Like, you can still get college credit and do something this cool through a Carpe Diem.
Yeah. It was awesome. I highly recommend not only Carpe Diem, but just a gap year in general.
Mm-hmm. So then you have those 3 months, and then the next part is this Outward Bound course.
Yeah, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
For the marketing interns out there that don't know about Outward Bound, it's kind of a wilderness expedition. It is a wilderness expedition program. There's a few of them out there. Outward Bound's one of the bigger ones.
So this is not volunteering anymore. This is
not
exhibition. Like, what's
Expedition.
Expedition.
Expedition with
Yes.
the P right there. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not volunteering anymore. You know, we did have a really cool project set up down in South America after our big trek that took about a day. It was really cool. We went to a church and kind of assisted in rebuilding that church. It had already been started, but it was cool to just meet the locals and stuff like that. But
Right on.
yeah, this was outdoor stuff.
Okay.
Backpacking, high altitude mountaineering, climbing. That was phase one.
Pick something in phase one that you want to describe, like one of those days or one of those few days that was like, this needs to be talked about.
Yeah, so there's a lot. I mean, it's hard to pick one thing. So phase one was down in Patagonia, Argentina, which is it's all mostly in Argentina, a little part of Chile as well. But Patagonia, it's huge. I mean, it's the Andes Mountains. And we backpacked through the Andes Mountains for 24 days straight.
Wow.
Epic, right? I mean, some of the pictures I got, Andrew's seen them. If you flip through my Facebook, you'll probably see them too. But I think the one thing that I remember the most is when you're down there, it was summertime down there. It was January, I think, end of January. And that's the summer in the Southern Hemisphere, opposite flipped.
People forget that.
People do forget, yeah. But there were days when we got all 4 seasons in one day, which I thought was so cool. I mean, where else in the world can you go and get the vibe of all 4 seasons in 24 hours? I mean, we woke up one morning and we're in a valley, this beautiful sunny valley. The flowers are out. You know, it's 60 degrees. It's like springtime. And you start your hike in the morning and you're climbing that day. You're going up in elevation, however many feet. I don't know. Let's call it 2,500 feet. You're going up. That's high up as far as atmosphere and temperature wise, and the weather's different. I mean, you're looking up somewhere and it doesn't look that far, but you get up there and it's a totally different vibe. Mm-hmm. You know, we got some flurries, and in the morning it was sunny and you were swimming in the lake. You know, so you're getting like winter. And then you're making your way back down, maybe into a valley, and you know the sun's going down, and it's just a different vibe. You could be getting like fall. I mean, it was wild. Waking up in the morning and being able to jump in a lake comfortably and swim like a morning swim, and then by noon you were, you know, I don't know, 9,000 feet up, and it's snowing. I mean,
that's nuts.
It's
so
wild.
cool.
Yeah, yes. Pretty cool.
So you're in the Andes Mountains, and then I'm going to kind of guide you along the things that I thought were the most interesting. And one of the things that you taught me or told me about was those isolation periods. Was that every phase you had an isolation period?
Correct.
Okay, so phase one, you have an isolation period in Patagonia, and describe that for our marketing interns.
Yeah, so we were right on the border of Argentina and Chile, and our instructors decided they call it a solo. And it was 24 hours by yourself. In Patagonia, in nature. Mm. And they took us each individually. We were in a group in the morning. We had a campsite, kind of a base, and they took us out one by one. They walked us. It was kind of weird, actually. The 2 instructors and you, and they're kind of talking to you, prepping you, and they take you out. Probably walked for 20 minutes, and they're like, "All right, this is your spot." I mean, you look around and we were in the mountains, in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I had a little tarp with some rope, sleeping bags, sleeping pad, minimal food. I think I had an orange and an apple, some crackers, a little bit of cheese. There was a water source nearby, which was great. And that was it. I mean, I had nothing else. They didn't let us take a book with us. I actually had a journal and a pencil. I had a pad of paper and a pencil. And they were like, "All right, we'll be back, you know, for you in 24 hours. So, see you later." And that was it. I mean, that was it. And it was me and myself and I. You know, I spent the first maybe 6 hours making the coolest campsite I could possibly think of, like every detail. Like the tarp that I set up was badass. I mean, it was sweet. It didn't rain, but if it was gonna rain, I was gonna be dry. Yeah, and I mean, and you know, I did some push-ups and I did a little bit of journaling, and then for a lot of time I just sat there. I just sat there, and I just thought about life and
Kind of like a meditation, pretty much.
Yeah, it's what it was. And I woke up, when I went to bed when the sun went down, and woke up when the sun came up, and that was about it. I mean, they took our watch from us, so I didn't know what time it was. Yeah, so I did that 2 more times. Second one was in Florida.
Okay.
And then the last one was in North Carolina.
Was there a point where you're like, I mean, we'll call it meditation during these isolation periods. Was there a time where you were just really, you were so in your own mind that you kind of lost touch with reality?
No, not long enough.
Not long enough.
I'm sure maybe if you were out there by yourself for, maybe a week, you might get a little wonky, but...
Okay. Well, in terms of like time, though, I mean, you don't have a watch and you only know what time it is based on the sun.
Right.
So are you just like, I'm just trying to think of like, you can't keep track of like how long 20 minutes is or how long 10 minutes is. So you don't, and you're just kind of doing random activities.
Yeah, I think it was irrelevant, really, Declan. I mean,
okay.
I think I wasn't
That's
really,
awesome.
I wasn't thinking about what time it was. The only
Right.
thing, I honestly can't even look back and tell you what I was thinking about, because I was probably just, anything that came across my head, I probably really dove into and thought about intensely for, maybe 10 minutes. But then a new thought comes in your head, and then I'm thinking about that. But as far as time, I don't know. It wasn't on my mind about,
Right.
Is it like 3:30? Is it 3:30 or 3:45 or?
Have you gone back and read any of those journals?
I actually have. I kept them all, and everything from that trip, from my outward bound trip, is in one journal. And I haven't looked back on it maybe in like a year or so, but I remember when I got out of treatment, I read them and just kind of looked back because I was thinking about that trip a lot, and yeah, the stuff I was writing, it was
Was it
cool.
crazy, or is it like, oh, I remember writing this?
It was kind of crazy. I didn't really remember a lot of what I was thinking about or what I was jotting down. There were a lot of goals on there. There were a lot of things that I wanted to improve on in my life. You're so clear-headed when you're on a trip like that. We were in the backcountry for the whole trip was about 3.5 months, and I'd say 85% of it was backcountry, where you're not at all interacting with anything in the world, as far as like cars and people and phones
And the food comes
life.
out on a horse or
Yeah, we had in Patagonia, we had 3 resupplies, and one of those 3 we weren't by any roads or anything like that. So the food was brought to us by like Sherpa type people, on horses.
No way.
Yeah, because when you're backpacking, you can't take 3 weeks worth of food with you. So there's got to be some type of resupply at some point.
Right. That makes sense.
Different when you're canoeing.
So that was another 3 months. So that was pretty much fall and spring semester for you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then what was like the next step for you?
Oh man, it was kind of all over the place. I came back home and I went to community college, on and off for maybe about a year and a half. Worked various jobs. Yeah, living at home with my parents. I think Andrew was taking off for school at one point. He was going to St. Thomas, and yeah, I was in a weird spot. I didn't have a lot of motivation.
Intention?
A lot of intention. I like that. I was kind of just stuck in the mud. I was at home, and
when you just got back from this sweet trip.
I know.
I don't.
Well, it's tough to, where do you go from there?
That's
I'm
kind of
not
what
qualified to be an instructor, and it's like at least financially, it's like going to school for a semester, and I wasn't gonna go on another trip. I don't know. I came back to Mount Prospect, Illinois, and I just fell into a lot of the same routine, a lot of the same habits that I had when I left. So.
Wow. Okay, so you're in community college for what, another year about?
Yeah.
Year-ish?
I got back from my outward bound trip in the spring. If I'm looking at it correctly, the spring of 2014, and then between then and my journey out west to Arizona, which was the summer of 2016. That time in there was like 2 years ish.
Okay.
A little over 2 years.
Okay.
I was at home, and one of the semesters I might have went to community college and got a little bit of college credit. I was working a couple different jobs. I really wasn't doing a whole lot, boys.
Yeah.
I was in Mount Prospect, Illinois, and
Yeah.
kind of mooching off mom and dad.
Well, and I can honestly see why or how you would just if I'm putting myself in your shoes right now, I'm just like, man, what else would I do than just like kind of go out, hang out with buddies, grab a couple beers, like do this, do that. Like if I didn't have any an external motivation for school or some sort of goal or intention in your case, it's like there's not much else to do other than just kind of have fun and try and find some happiness somewhere.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. I couldn't agree with you more. And unfortunately, that happiness came in the form of drugs and alcohol.
But dude, that's the reality, man. That happens all the time to people, and like it's cool hearing it from you more so. And like you're walking us through this whole story, and now you're seeing like, oh, okay, so there was just a lull. It wasn't there. You just didn't have that intention behind what your path was going to be. You didn't have a path.
No,
so your
I didn't.
path. Everyone's path is happiness. Everyone's path is happiness.
Finding love in some manner.
Yeah, and if you don't put yourself on the right path, whether it's school or some intention towards a goal or a career, it's hard to really find a deeper passion that makes you happy. And
Yeah,
I totally get that.
it was. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. I was pretty disappointed in myself, just kind of where I was in life, and I had a hard time vocalizing that to just the people around me.
Yeah.
And I kind of buried my head in the sand a little bit and turned to, things that made me feel good instantly, which unfortunately was drinking, going out, and doing drugs. And I formed a lot of really bad habits and became not a great person. Just who I was and how I interacted with people, and my honesty level was at an all-time low, which, all comes with someone that struggles with addiction. So I think, those 2 years were tough for, I think, the family. For everyone. So
I can see that.
And what better person to have someone like yourself on our show when our core attribute, when you boil down the back pocket, what we are about is growth and development. Like that's what we preach. We talk about our goofy growth and development on the podcast, whether it's figuring out how to do YouTube and then the next thing, creating a company. Now we're doing some actually like real tangible things. The things that we've grown on, that's a long story. You could just follow us on the podcast. But yourself, your growth from what you're talking about right now to where we are today, it's 2018, you're about to be 2 years sober, and we're having this conversation. I mean, I couldn't be more prouder to be you as my older brother to set these examples and learn from you. I mean, my experience with you has been right. You said it yourself. It's been ups and downs. Like there was those tough periods, but like we are living together in the Twin Cities. That's pretty cool right now. Like we are the ones that have left kind of our home base. Matthew has now left home base, and we get to experience this together. It's awesome.
It's great. I mean, I love, it was crucial to have you up here. I mean, over the last 2 years, it was pretty special. The fact that you could come visit me at treatment, it wasn't that far away. And just having you around for the last 2 years. I mean, I've seen you consistently week to week, and it's been pretty cool. So, I love the Twin Cities. Shout out. I mean,
Shout out to the Twin Cities.
Yeah,
Awesome.
seriously.
It's
a great spot to live. I really enjoy it. I've set down some roots here, and I feel comfortable up here. I have a great group of friends, and it's going well.
So you went to Arizona for a short stint. Okay. How long was that stint?
I drove down there and had a little apartment in August of 2016.
Okay. And then you ended up coming to the Twin Cities
October
2 years ago.
Checked into treatment on October 17th.
Wow.
So I got sober on the 14th of October. It's wild.
What's that decision like?
You know what? I don't want to go too much into it. I was in a tough spot, really down on myself, and I saw where my life was going, and I finally was willing to admit to myself that it was because of
all these
drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why I was being held back. It had a hold on me, and I couldn't shake it, and I knew I needed to get some help, and that help came in the form of going to treatment.
Nice.
And I can remember I called mom and told her that I was ready to get some help. And it was so funny because, mom, she's a planner. And she is. I mean, she's ready for anything. And
Right.
she knew exactly where to send me. She's like, oh, all right, I'm flying out. We're gonna get ready for this. I think she expected it. I think mom and dad knew that there was a problem for some time. And actually, looking back, I knew I had a problem for a while. I just wasn't ready to quit yet. And I finally was ready. And she's like, all right, you're gonna go to Minnesota.
24 hours, you're in my back door.
Exactly. Yeah. All of us. Yeah. I get off the plane, and there's Andrew with mom, getting ready
No
to
way.
drop me off.
So that's so cool though, like the awareness of yourself and the wherewithal, just the grit to be able to man up and really understand and make a decision that changed your life.
I appreciate that.
Like think about that, like that was a life-changing event.
It's huge. I mean, it's a pivotal point in my life when
Yeah.
I was ready to make a change, a
Right.
big change. Because where I am today and where I would be if I didn't make that change, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be in the dirt if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
So I think it's huge.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah. Well, and I think what we did here too is just like kind of normalize it, because I come from a family where I'm like the oldest, and it's just kind of your all-American family, not a lot of adversity, put it that way. And I feel like there's a lot of people like that too, who've not gone through a significant amount of adversity, such as your story.
It's different.
It's
Everyone has different adversity.
Right. Okay.
I'm not
yeah.
going to disregard other people's trials and tribulations.
Sure.
This was different.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for correcting me
yeah,
on
you're
that.
good.
That's
Continue.
that's what I was trying to get at.
Mhm.
And I think people look at it very like, oh, like he's sober, like something must have went wrong or something. It's like, well, yeah, but he's still a freaking person. Like you got to treat these people as people, And I think that gets lost a lot of the times. But you're lost because you don't know the story. And I think that's what we did, was just get that story, normalize it, and still understand that this is pretty freaking sweet. You got a lot of time left. You're a young dude, man.
I know, man. It's slow and steady. I mean, the 2 years is great, and I'm very excited for, it's, tomorrow I'll deal with tomorrow when tomorrow comes, and when October 4th or October 14th comes,
Sure.
I'll pat myself on the back, but that'll be about it.
It's another opportunity to work.
Exactly. Another opportunity to work. But yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk too much about people that struggle with addiction.
It's
I think
tough.
long story short, it holds on to you, it grabs hold of you, and it becomes the number one thing in your life. It's really all you think about.
Yeah.
You put the blinders on, and it forces you to make some really poor decisions that just you're not gonna go anywhere in life. You're struggling, and I was struggling. So.
Mhm.
So how about this though? You've gone to college, I don't know how many times, but college has been a theme of this story. And I feel like every single time there just was never like I really want to be in school. But now looking at you want to be in school. Like what are you doing nowadays at Augsburg?
I'm a student, full-time student. I am a junior, so I'll have this semester in the spring and then another year. So I'm getting there, about halfway done. Studying biology.
Nice.
Yeah. There's as far as what I'm going to do with that, I'm still kind of working through it. Part of me thinks it'd be really cool to be a teacher. The other part of me thinks, maybe get outside, doing field work, trying to better in the environment.
There's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, we'll see. I think just interacting on campus and talking to my teachers and talking to other students that are studying the same thing, some doors will open up and we'll take it from there. But, the one thing that I've learned over the last 2 years is to just really focus on the here and now. And today was, changing things up in my apartment, moving furniture around. And tomorrow I have 4 classes, and that'll be that, And I think it really helps me just kind of slow things down when I get really ahead of myself. I start to future trip.
Mm-hmm.
Those thoughts of just being overwhelmed come back in your head, and
Well, anxiety. I mean, if you look too much in the future, you get anxious. If you look too much in the past, you get depressed.
Exactly.
And being in the center, in the middle, that's where you want to be. That's the golden spot.
Finding balance, living in the now. They're all important. And one thing that we are doing right now, we're on the back pocket. So we're kind of over time on the typical marketing intern spotlight. So
yeah, we can keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving. And I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
These are the back pocket core questions when it comes to the marketing intern spotlight. First one is the one we ask actually every guest. What is your average quality?
Well, I'm wildly average at a lot of things. Most recently, though, I like Declan pointed out earlier, I'm a pretty good athlete, and I decided to play soccer for a rec league on campus. The community that I live in has a team, and I decided to give it a go. And we had our first games on Thursday night, and holy cow, I am so average at soccer. And not only just playing soccer, but I think just understanding soccer.
Like the
I mean,
flow.
oh my gosh. I couldn't, spacing on the field,
Yoga.
no clue. I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just hustle and be aggressive. No, that doesn't work. I mean, I played goalie for the first half. I was wildly average. I mean, I made some saves, and then I looked silly on some others. So
Nothing you do there, but hey, that's fun that you're playing though. That's sick.
yeah, it's cool, but I mean, soccer is just, it's so foreign. I mean, I have no clue what I'm doing. I am so average.
We just unpacked this a few podcasts ago, but the new is typically an average quality. When you try something for the first time, and then you want to do it another time, you're obviously going to improve from 1 to 2. So the first time you do it, I'm average at spacing and understanding that I need to have more patience in soccer. The next time you do it, that it might not be your average quality. You might find another thing that's average, and you improved on those 2. So there you go. You got some growth going.
Yeah, hopefully there's gonna be some growth. I mean, I'm playing again on Thursday, so
Okay.
There we go.
we'll see how it goes. Allegedly, I mean,
So
if they'll have me back, I don't know.
So when someone asks you like, "Oh, why don't they sprint everywhere in soccer?" Do you have an answer for them?
It's from what I picked up and talking to people that play a lot more soccer than I do, I think, it's all about spacing. You can't just follow the ball around. Which I haven't played soccer since I was a kid. I think Andrew played too. You played soccer too, right?
Yeah, until
you just follow the ball.
Something.
You just run around and you're aggressive and you hustle and you follow the ball, and when you have the ball, you kick it towards the net. That's just not the case anymore.
No, that's what I did. I was aggressive and I probably I'd get like a red card every 5 seconds because I'd be kicking people.
Like I don't think I've ever gotten flustered as much as I did in a sport or just being in some type of competitive athletic atmosphere. I was so flustered. I mean, when you have the ball and there's defenders like near you, and you don't have like really anywhere to go, and nobody's like wildly open, like I just didn't know what to do with the ball, so I panicked and like kicked it downfield and then go out of bounds. And it's like, all right,
frick. Yeah. That's funny, dude. I love that.
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah.
But
all right,
finding and roll.
Question.
Yep.
PI, what is in your back pocket? And a framework for this question is something where you're in a high stress, high pressure situation, and you got to rely on some sort of mental attribute to get the job done and be on the positive side of that outcome.
Well, putting it like that, I kind of dove into it a little differently when I was thinking about the question.
Yeah, take your interpretation and run with it.
Yeah, I like the way you put it, but as far as an answer for that, I'm gonna have to think for a second.
No worries.
When I was thinking about it today, I was thinking about something that not in your back pocket, but something metaphorically that's in your back pocket is like something that's always there. Like when times are like when you need like a kickstart or something like that, or is that kind of what you're?
Yeah, that's what we're getting at.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as my answer, the one thing that came to mind instantly, and I'm not super proud of it, is nicotine and caffeine.
Right on.
I know you're shaking your head over there. I honestly I don't know. I lean on it a lot, and like when times are tough or when times are great, that's what I'm going to. Declan's over here laughing. I know it's awesome. It's kind of messed up. It is when I think about it, but it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, maybe you get a few laughs if you're a listener right now.
No,
I lean on.
It's the reality, dude.
That's
sweet.
I don't know. That's what came to mind. I mean, that is always in my back pocket.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
fantastic.
That's a great answer.
Yes.
I love every bit of that.
All right, now our final question. What did you learn today from the time that you woke up to watch the Ryder Cup and now to when we're having this conversation 20 minutes before the Steelers kick off on Sunday night against the Baltimore Ravens?
I think you can't do it all. That was like the theme of today. I'm still exhausted. I'm a little more stymied now that we've done this. This has been really fun, and thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah,
Shout out to the Back Pocket. I'm a huge fan. But today I was really tired, and I was like, I think the last 3 days have kind of strung together, and it's felt like one giant day with the Ryder Cup and not really sleeping that much. And yesterday I traveled back to Chicago and drove back up with a bunch of furniture in a U-Haul truck. And I'm exhausted. And today I was rearranging things and trying to do a lot today. And I actually did get a lot done, but almost at the expense of my health. I mean, I feel really beat. So I think the one thing I learned today, or at least was reminded about, maybe relearned, is, you can't do it all. Sometimes, you just need to be okay with what you've accomplished, and then, attack something following day, not try and get it all done in one day, which I actually really struggle with, but I'm trying to get it all done one day. I know. Yeah.
Patience.
I feel like I'm a pretty patient person, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
All good.
Yeah.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.